So tonight we're here to speak about signs. Is it your imagination or is it a sign coming from your loved ones? And this is one of the most commonly asked questions that we get all the time. I get all of the time. And first let's start with this. Your loved ones want to communicate with you as much as you want to communicate with them. And they are still people. They're just in the spirit world. I had a person in the other side say today that they were in this heavenly place where they don't have a physical body. So they use other ways of giving us signs and connecting with us and letting us know not only are they okay, but showing you through various pieces of evidence that they continue on. And a lot of times we think that is our imagination in a way that we just want it so badly to be true that we feel like we're probably making it up, right? So first, let's talk about how the other side communicates with us through signs. Well, there are really the possibilities are endless. I mean, it's really astounding and incredible what people on the other side can do to give us a sign. Sometimes it comes in the form of manifesting something physical for us. So I did have somebody share with me the other day that they'd had a reading with someone, and the medium said that the person's husband wanted to have them still travel, even though he was not here, and wanted her to, carry a little something with her that would remind her of him. Specifically, he mentioned the word bear, something that was like a bear, because bears are cute. And so anyway, a few days later, she was cleaning out some things, and I did print a picture of this out. She came across something in a drawer, and this is not anything that she was familiar with. So she sent me an email wondering, can they do this? Because this seems very unbelievable. So the picture, this little item she found this little item here in a drawer, and it says pocket spirits. And when she looked up what this one was, on the back of it on the card, it says that this particular one is called a bear. So can they do something like that? Absolutely, they can. And the way that it comes up came up in the reading, I mean, this was such a beautiful story, because her husband was guiding her to something specific and helping her find it. So can they do that from the other side? Yes, they can. I would also like to share with you something that happened to me in, I believe it was May of 2021. I'm not usually one to show share screen or pictures like this, but I thought that you guys would get a kick out of it. We certainly did. We were traveling from Georgia to California, and there was a delay in a flight. So we ended up last minute spending the night in a hotel. Nothing planned with that there. So forgive my first picture. The picture I'm about to show you, but all I did was just lay my clothes on a chair and I went in the shower. And then when I came out of the shower, there was a coin on it. Now, I don't carry coins. In general, most of us don't anymore. But here's what was special about this coin. This coin was a coin from the UK, and it had the Queen's picture on it. It's an actual coin. I'll show you the picture in a moment. And I looked at Nancy and I said, "Did you put this here?" She was like, "No." So I zoomed in closer and then I picked it up. So let me share with you what this was and why this was so special to me. Okay, so just allow me 1 second to share the screen, because I put this just together for you all. And here it is. All right, so here's a mess of my clothes just laying on the chair. And right here is the coin. So I took closer pictures, and there it is. It's a 25-cent coin from Belize, all right? And this is the side with the queen's face on it. So why is that such a big deal? Number one, yes, it's a foreign coin, of course, and anybody could say, well, you pick something up, you put it in your pocket. However, my grandmother was from Belize, and that is a Belize coin. And I haven't been to Belize. I hadn't been to Belize in well over a year. And when I leave Belize, I leave my coins behind because they're no use for me here in the United States. So how did she do that? You know, it's pretty extraordinary on how they can make things happen. So there really are no limits to what spirit can do. So that kind of it's like they can manifest or bring something from one place to another to get in front of you. This happens all of the time. You know, people are going about and they find some hearts, or they see things on billboards, or they see bumper stickers, and that reminds them of their loved one, and maybe even a name from their loved one. How does that happen? So, you know, a lot of times we think of things through synchronicity. Well, there's a lot of power in the spirit world. And what they're doing is they're lining things up. They're lining you up, and they're lining items up for you both to have that meeting in the place. So you get the sign in a way that you will understand it from them. So whether it be coins, whether it be finding an object that your husband would like to do, whether it would be them coming around you where you actually feel their presence. How about that sense of smell that reminds you of them? How many of you out there might have gotten the smell of cigarettes, but nobody smokes in the house, but maybe you have a loved one on the other side that smokes? That's them being around. So there are so many different ways they do things. You might open a book and think, okay, why is this picture in here? It makes no sense that this photograph is in here, but it's a picture of them. You see, so it can be small things. They're still grand, but they could be small things such as hearing your name being called, feeling the presence of them, getting that smell that reminds you of them, getting that really strong urge of, why am I craving this? And it wouldn't be anything you would eat, but it's their favorite food. You know, that might seem silly, but they're connecting with you in a way to share like a memory. You know, please have a good burger for me, wouldn't you? You know, so I don't ever want to minimize a sign, because each sign is important. Each sign, each way of communicating is them touching you. It's them letting you know that they are okay. It is them saying to you, I'm still with you. That's what signs are about. Now, how do you know if it's your imagination or not? Because, like I said in the very beginning, who doesn't want a sign? We want everything to be a sign, don't we? Well, what happens is sometimes, of course, there's a confusion or an overlap in memory, right? So we so badly want that to be a sign, and we're bringing to mind a memory, and we're thinking maybe that is a sign. So let's tease that out just a little bit. Signs, first and foremost, are going to leave an emotional reaction of some sort, different than a way a memory is going to. So you might get a sign and then you think, I wasn't thinking about that right now at all. Or, what is this? How did this get here? You know, who put that coin there? Why is that there? How odd that that bird is sitting looking at me in that kind of way. Or a deer, unusual behavior from animals. Signs make you stop and think for a second, just for a second. and it's something that you go, I'm not really sure what happened there. And it leaves a mark. There's often an emotional reaction to a sign where we think, now was that my imagination? Was that me wanting to, or was that really a sign? You know, we find ourselves in a little bit of a confused space around that. So to help you with that, one of the things that you can do is simply ask the question in your mind, was that a sign or was that my imagination? If you get a yes, that was a sign, then in your mind say, thank you. Who sent that sign, please? And whomever pops into mind first would be the person that gave you that sign. Now, I think it's important that we always thank them and say, keep it coming. Remember, they get as excited to do it as you get receiving them. We are never, ever bothering our loved ones on the other side. Never, never. One of the things that can prevent us from getting signs, and it's not that we're not getting signs, but we may feel like we're not getting signs. There are a couple of things that can come into play here. First, doubt. I doubt that these things are real. I doubt that they can happen. Okay, doubt is a big hurdle to overcome, frankly. It really, really is. So when you're in that space and you're not sure, but you want it to be a sign, like, I don't know if I believe in this, but I really want to believe this. I really want to know that my loved one is okay, but I don't understand any of this. I'm just not sure. You know, I always say a little skepticism is good, but just try to have a little bit of an open mind if possible. Why not you? Every person gets signs. We all do. We're just not always aware of it. We're just not. So if you are one of those individuals that you feel like you are not getting any signs, but you are open, one of the things you can do is say, all right, guys, I know Amy says that you're giving signs, but I'm not understanding them. Please give me signs in a way that I will understand them. Help guide them. Because remember, they're going to communicate in the way that they always did. So we have different forms of communication, don't we? You communicate one way, I communicate another. That doesn't change once we go to the other side. So sometimes we get a little bit of a miss. So when you ask them to give it to you in a way that you will understand, they'll say, my style of communication is not exactly working for her right now, or him, and they will shift it up. So don't be afraid to speak to them in your mind. Now, also, I will say, grief is tough. We all experience it. We go into a place of shock, even when it's expected. We still have this place of shock. We are vulnerable. And in that space, we tend to be a little more guarded, which is very normal. So we get into a little bit of a guarded space because we're vulnerable. And so at that stage, we may not be picking up the signs as much as you might later on, as you adjust in your grief a little bit more. Be gentle with yourself. Know that they are around. Know that they are okay, regardless of the way that they transitioned, regardless of what happened. They are doing well in the spirit world. And I can say that with the utmost level of confidence based on thousands of readings globally. I've never heard anything different from anyone on the other side. Never. So at this point now, what I really love to do is give you all the rest of the time I see we have some questions there, and I want to answer as many questions as possible, because I want to be able to give back to you all in that kind of way. So Nancy's going to come on, and there she is, and read the questions for me.
We already have quite a few questions coming in.
Fantastic.
So the first one or two are a little bit long, so just stick with me. So this is from Pam, who says, why can some souls manifest things more substantially than others? I feel like my son would do something that is very evident if he could. So her question is, do people on the other side learn to do more the longer they are on the other side?
Okay, Pam, thank you for asking. And that is a really good question, but that's true of our webinars, aren't they? Everybody asks such great questions. So, couple of things in there, Pam. Now, when people are on the other side, they can learn to do more, sure. But also, I would have to wonder, I don't know, was your son a big and boisterous kind of individual? If he was a big and boisterous type of individual while he was here, then we might think of stronger signs, stronger feelings. If he had a little bit of a quieter energy, still upbeat, but a little bit of a quieter energy, the signs at first may seem subtle. I will still encourage you, because my sense about your son is that he's a little bit of a talker and a good sense of humor. So that's kind of a sense I have about him. And so in that case, my sense is that perhaps it's one of these situations where we might be just missing that he's giving signs, and perhaps you're hoping or wanting for signs to be in a specific way. Not putting it poorly on you or anything, just to be clear, but sometimes we just have a little bit of a miss. So practice what I mentioned earlier, to please give it to me in a way that I understand. And if your son, and this goes for anyone, if your son was really big into music, you can also put on some kind of player or playlist that has a lot of songs that you can stream, and ask them to pick a song for you. And they will. And that's another way that they will give signs through. So we call that the music game. So I hope that helps a little bit, Pam.
Okay, and here's another one that's a little bit long. This is from Eleanor, and really she's speaking to very much what you're talking about today, which is, I'll read it in a moment, but she knows she has a good imagination. Anyway, things are kind of feeling the same. So here's what she says. I have a powerful visual imagination. If I'm writing a poem or a short story, I see what's happening in my mind. When I have a communication with what I feel is the divine, it seems the same. I also hear words in my head, and it's often immediately after I form the question. So how can I tell what or who is speaking to me?
All right, Eleanor. So you and I are very similar in that sense. I have also a very visual mind, and can see things as they're playing out. So in that case, the way signs tend to work through your clairvoyance, which is your clear seeing, it happens quickly. The difference with your imagination is building kind of a story. So to use the way that you work, you're writing a poem and you're seeing things come out. With a sign, it's just going to be there very quickly. You don't have time to think it out. I'm sorry, the other part of that was, when you're having a divine connection, it feels similar.
Yeah, right. And hearing the words. Yeah.
Okay, so when we get audio signs, hearing the words in our mind, they just drop in, and you won't have any ifs, ands, or buts. It's just going to be a phrase, a name, a word. I bet for you sometimes, Eleanor, you're writing the question and the answer is already coming. Go with the one that's already coming, fill in the question after. Okay, but it happens rapidly. So it won't be these long conversations. I hope that helps. Thank you for asking, Eleanor.
And by the way, you were speaking to Pam a moment ago, and she commented she thinks she does get things, just not the big things. Like lights, she said. So I think she's, thinking through what those signs may be.
They're all big things, Pam. They're all big things, my dear.
Okay, a question from Anonymous. Can a message for me come through a medium who's working with a friend of the deceased?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those in the spirit world will use any opportunity that they get to get a message to their loved ones. So we will say that, oh, you're being a medium for another person right now. The medium will say that to the person they're reading for who wants to get the message to you. So it's not an uncommon thing. And, let's remember those in the spirit world are very intelligent. They're very smart people. So whatever opportunity they see to get a message to, they will. So, yep, that's absolutely possible.
Kind of opportunistic, but in the good sense of the word.
I know, I do like to say they're opportunists, but in a very good sense.
But in the best sense of, oh, there's an opportunity, I can make it work.
Absolutely. Let
Like
me
I
say
said, in the best
hello.
sense of the word, yeah.
Why not?
Okay, great. Okay, this is from Heather. I used to get signs frequently. Lately, I've been going through a really difficult time and the signs have stopped. It makes me feel alone when I need confirmation the most. What can I do?
All right, Heather. So first off, I am sorry to hear that you're having such a challenging time. I think a lot of us experience that when the very time we feel that we need them the most, we're not getting anything. I'm going to go back to what I mentioned earlier about being in that place of grief where we're in a little bit protective state. We tend to do the same thing when we're going through a difficult time. We add a layer of protection to us because it's hard times. Our focus is in lots of different places and we're feeling extra vulnerable. So inadvertently, we put up a little extra layer of protection. That doesn't mean that you're closing off from the signs. It means that you're not picking them up the same way. Now, I like to reference the poem Footprints in the Sand for this very reason, because it's just so brilliant. The time I needed you the most, you weren't there, right? So they are there. I will say this. One of the things you can do, because there's always things that we can do. So one of the things that you can do is say, okay, I absolutely really need you right now. I know that you have given signs before. I'm going to ask you to give me something in a really strong way that I cannot deny. This will have them work to up it and make it bigger and broader. Just letting them know, okay, she really needs to feel it from me. And don't be afraid to ask it that way. You're not begging. So don't be afraid to ask it that way. All right, Heather? I hope things smoothen out for you very soon. Take good care.
And so I just want to acknowledge we had a similar question from Virginia, so I'm not going to read it, but it was very similar about when you don't get signs anymore.
Right. All right.
Maggie would like to know, are there any indications that siblings connect in the afterlife?
I don't think I understand the question. Like once you meet up on the afterlife?
I assume that's what they mean. Yeah. So in other words, siblings who are together in this life.
Yes, of course. Okay. So is there evidence that they meet up in the afterlife? That's the question.
Connect. Yeah, I assume that means
Connect?
meet. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Maggie, absolutely. You know what? Today's reading gives us a lot of help tonight. So in a reading today, a woman's daughter made a connection. So the daughter is in the spirit world and said to the mother, and I have the baby with me too. And the mother was very taken aback by this because the mother had a pregnancy that did not come to fruition. So that baby was never here in the physical world, but the sister had joined up with it in the spirit world. But siblings come together all of the time. I can't tell you how many times there's aunts and uncles. Well, they're siblings, right? So absolutely we meet up.
I'm just remembering that you have a YouTube video on relationships in the afterlife. I'll see if I have that link handy and I'll paste
Yeah,
it.
there's it. That's
If
right.
not, I'm not sure I'll be able to get it in time, but yeah, your
Sure.
YouTube channel, you've talked about a certain number of these things. Okay, Sherry would like to know, can people in the spirit world confirm the signs they have sent? And would this perhaps happen through a reading, that they might confirm
Yeah,
the signs that they've been giving?
sure. Now I'm going to be honest with you on this. Sometimes they will share them and sometimes they may not. Sometimes they may share some of the signs, but not all of them. Okay. But those are important tips of validation, I feel. Those are the tidbits I actually really love because they're present day things. So again, from this reading today, the young woman in the spirit world was telling her mother, tell her the not perfect hearts are from me. And her mother said that, oh yeah, she used to always draw hearts. And I said, no, this is not the same thing though. First off, she couldn't draw a perfect heart. But you are finding hearts like in nature, and sometimes you spot like these drawings and things of hearts, but they're never perfect, not like the perfect sticker hearts. And she said, that's right. And that was one of the signs that her daughter was giving her. So that was pretty specific because it wasn't like I send you a little perfect sticker heart, right? So yes, I'm trying, there was something else, but yes, they can absolutely share things. And my favorite things is when they share something that like has just happened or just done, like the woman, the daughter, who was a great communicator today. The daughter said to her mother, oh, she made my favorite dish, but she didn't eat it all. She just cooked my favorite dish, but didn't eat it all. Well, sure enough, she had made lasagna and the other part of it was in the refrigerator. So that's a present day, I'm watching you, I'm with you kind of thing. So yes, they can talk about these things.
Okay. Michelle says she has spoken to an unknown spirit from about 6 months after her daughter passed away. And what she's unclear about, is it her daughter physically moving things around or the spirit? How does she know? How does she know who's moving? Who's
Okay,
moving things around? Who's giving her these signs? Yeah.
sure. So the first thing I would do, Michelle, is say, okay, who's moving these things around? And the first answer you get, you go with that one. Communicating with a spirit that you do not know, most likely it's going to be one of two spirits you're communicating with, a family member that you haven't thought of in a long time. Doesn't matter, you know, if you had a family member that transitioned when you were 5, they can still communicate with you. So that could be that. Or it actually could be a guide. I would have to know a little bit more. I don't know if I have time for that now, but to have a little more information. But you can always ask that spirit as well. Are you one of my family members or are you a guide? You know, are you a guide? Yes or no?
She's talking about things moving physically.
I
So that
understand, but she
would
said
a
it was 2
guide,
people. Yes. A
Hmm?
guide would not be moving
A
things.
guide would not be moving things, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. Catherine says, I feel that my son sent me signs soon after he died, but not as much now. It's 4.5 years since that time. So she really has 2 questions. I'll give you both of them. One question, has he moved on because he's busy in heaven, busy in the afterlife? Number 2, more generally, when we die, are we relieved of our mental illness?
Oh, okay. Catherine, what a beautiful question. And so sorry for the loss of your son. So let me answer the second part first, because the moment of transition, we carry no physical ailments to the other side. That includes mental health. Okay. Mental health is an issue of the physical body and the emotional body. It is not an issue of the soul. So that's a very different thing. And so once we transition, all of that is gone. Thank goodness, right? So We become our full whole selves instantly. So that's number one. I'm sure that your son was very excited to communicate with you freely from the spirit world. What I tend to find is it's not that they stop giving signs. It's sometimes it's just that in the beginning, each individual will do this differently, just like we do here. We do things differently. So it's not a one size fits all. But a lot of times when people initially transition, they stay very close to us. They want to make sure we're okay and whatnot. And so we get very strong, tangible, physical feelings, signs everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And it's part of their way of saying, I want you to be okay. I'm okay. You know, how many different ways can I show you that I'm okay? So they will sometimes overload us with signs. And then it might become a little more quiet. And part of that is they might shift a little bit to just a slightly different area, just lighten up their energy just a little bit on the other side. So they might still be giving many signs. It just doesn't feel as close. It doesn't have the heaviness as it felt earlier on. That is all. So I hope that answers your question, but I'm sure he's busy, but even when they're busy, they can be doing so many things at once. It's kind of magical. So you can still be getting signs and he can still be very busy. So I hope that answers your question.
Good. I'm going to ask one from Anonymous, which is a good follow-up, but I also want to say, if there's anybody who has a question that you haven't put in the Q&A box, now is definitely the time to do that as we're, moving towards the end of our time together. So this is a great follow-up from Anonymous. Is it possible the lack of signs is their way of making us let go? And can we ask for a specific sign?
So that's a very sweet question, Anonymous. So first thing is, I don't know how I feel about letting go per se. I'd rather think that we are adjusting here more without them. It becomes a place of adjustment. Now, we can think about that in so many different ways, but if it's grief holding you in place that you haven't been able to shift or adjust at all, they wouldn't stop giving signs to say, hey, let go of me. That just wouldn't be typical. They want to make sure that you're okay. Perhaps you're actually making some little more shifts and you're a little busier yourself, and maybe you're not picking up some of the signs. That could be. You can ask them to give you a specific sign. Now, I will say, for whatever reason, that works for a lot of people. I cannot tell you how many stories where they say, please leave me a quarter right here. Okay, well, I've tried that method and it never works for me, ever. So it's just like, Amy, don't even touch any kind of lottery ticket because you'll get 0 numbers.
No,
So
we just get towels thrown on the floor.
my grandmother throws towels down, although she doesn't do that anymore.
Actually, not so much. It's true.
I said, do you have to do that really? Because that's like always having to clean the towels. But so no, she doesn't throw the towels down anymore. But see, I asked, please don't throw the towels down. So you can try that method. If that is not working for you, what I would encourage you to do is think about the interest that they had. Was it reading? Was it music? Being outside? And if it's whatever of those things that were really of interest to them, ask them to draw you to an avenue what they can communicate with you. So for example, if they like to read and they had books, ask them to kind of give you a sign through the books. Go look at the books. Okay, a lot of us don't have physical books anymore. So maybe they're in a Kindle or a reading device. Then you can ask them to have you stop at a book that will give you a sign. You see where I'm going. Same thing with music. Please give me a sign through some music and just put something on. Just put as broad of a playlist or streaming thing you can and ask them to give you a sign. Try it that way. If they're outdoors people, go outdoors in a place that they perhaps liked or something similar and say, okay, I'm here in this way to be with you. in a way that I know that you would like it. Can you draw my attention, or please give me a sign? So there are so many different ways. Keep your imaginations open, keep it active. Don't ever think you're asking something ridiculous or too much.
I would just add with that, with the music game. So I use that to communicate with guides. So I'll formulate a question, then I'll go to the full song list that I have in Apple Music. And once I have my question, then I'll hit the shuffle button, which means, you know, whatever's going to come up comes up. So if I was going to try to communicate with somebody on the other side, I would probably do the same thing, as picture them and invite them, and then get my song list ready, and then close my eyes and click shuffle and see what comes
We've
up.
had a song come on that we never knew.
Yeah, I know. So
that-
often, what song is this? I didn't know I had this
on Alexa.
Yeah,
What is this? So it wasn't even in our playlist.
Question from, let me read this just quickly. Okay, this is from Michelle. I know you are doing groups. By that, I assume she means group readings, Amy. This person probably doesn't know about helping parents heal. Okay. Would you consider doing a child loss spirit group? It is hard for parents to sit in groups when people are upset about their grandparents or pets, and we have lost the most important person in our lives. Thank you for considering.
So short answer on that, Michelle, is yes, it would be several months out. Happy to do it. No problem. You can always send me an email. And Nancy's going to put in the chat box the link to Helping Parents Heal. Helping Parents Heal is a wonderful organization founded by parents. All volunteers are parents. All affiliate group leaders are parents. And they have caring listeners that are trained that are parents. So they also have within them, and it's all not for profit, and I do not know how these people do as much as they do, but there are resources and webinars almost every night. So webinars encompass therapists, sound healers, mediums, readings, all kinds of things. And they even have in there within their chapters, one for siblings, one for dads, and various forms of transitions. So helpingparentsheal.org. I am one of the providers for them. Very honored to be able to be on that list. And yes, I would also be more than honored to do a group, but I wouldn't want to know any more about any individual children or anything like that. It's the same thing with Helping Parents Heal. Don't want to know anything in advance. Okay. But that is a fantastic resource for you all if you're not familiar with it.
So I had just a few minutes ago, I had put Helping Parents Heal link, so that is in chat. And I think Michelle may have been asking like a public group, but that is specific for people who have lost children, which might be a little bit harder for us to do. But I think Helping Parents Heal is a great resource as well.
I think Helping Parents Heal.
I don't think we can do it better than they do it. They do it so incredibly
because
well.
Here's how they do it, you guys. They have two people that are moderating. They're all on video. I don't think we would even have the capacity to do it on video. So one person is typing in the chat box the description, and the other person is managing. It's usually several people. It's usually a lot of people on those groups, and the medium is doing their work. So I don't think, Nancy, that we've talked about this. Like we're just, I don't know how they do it so well, you guys. So I would head on over to their Facebook group, because mediums are not allowed in there, and that's where their events are stated. But go to their website first, and they'll guide you to anything you need. They are wonderful, wonderful people.
And they also they post readings, the readings that have been done. They sometimes post them on their YouTube, so you can kind of check it out, see if it feels right to you.
YouTube channel, which is also free, you'll see all the kind of work that they do. You'll see various mediums readings and provider readings, authors, such things. So that's a great, yes, thanks for mentioning the YouTube channel as well, Nancy. They do so many things. I don't know how they do it.
I know, they're incredible.
And do it well. Yeah.
Okay, this is our last question, I believe. And this is Pam, and she says off topic, but it's really not off topic. How often should or could someone be read for the same spirit, for the same loved one? Will they come through many times, or will that fade over time? Will that connection fade?
Okay, so first off, we usually recommend waiting 6 months to a year in between readings. Okay, just to let life play out a little bit. But that has nothing to do with how many times people in the spirit world will connect. Not at all. So so much so that over the years, I had to say to a few clients, I'm going to have to recommend you to another medium because I know your loved ones too well now. And so what happens there is I'm not even sure if I'm going to be pulling from memory or not, because I know the whole story. I've met their loved ones so many times. I mean, wonderful. So no, they don't stop coming. Not at all. You know, again, they really love the opportunity to jump in wherever they can. So feel free to reach out to them. One more question.
One more question. This one just came in, so I guess this one
Okay,
was meant
last
to
but
be
not
answered.
least.
Okay, from Anna. This is a beautiful way to end. What would you recommend to do to elevate our vibration to facilitate receiving messages?
That is a beautiful question, Anna. Okay, so there's a little method that you all can try. And that is, first, you want to create an ideal space for you. Okay. And I would like you to think of it. I don't want to say I want, I would like you to think of that time as your time. This is time for you. So you want to sit in a place, sit at a time where there won't be any distractions, no phones, anything like that. Ideally at a time of day that works for you as well. So some people are morning people, some people are evening, whatever. And you can start setting appointments. Say to your loved ones, Thursday evenings at 7, I'm going to sit and I'd love it if you'd come. And I'd love it not only if you'd come, but you make me aware that you are there. That setting that kind of tone and allow 15 to 30 minutes to do so. You may not feel much the first time. You may not feel much the second, but over time with practice, you will start having those connections. So it's a sweet little appointment time between you and your loved ones. And, you know, by setting the intention within itself, you're already raising your vibration up to make that connection. All right, guys. Thank you so much, everyone. And not only for joining, it's been a bit since we've done a webinar. I forgot how much we love them, really.
Feel a little out of practice here.
Yeah, but we love them so much. So thank you for joining in. And always, you guys always ask such great questions. This full recording will be available to you all that registered in a day or two.
I'm going to put the whole thing on YouTube.
Oh, Nancy's gonna put the whole thing on YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
these were great
Well,
questions.
hi, everybody on YouTube. You all have a great evening as well. So thank you guys again so much. It really means a lot. And do take care of yourselves. All the best.